The 2020 campaign is really heating up and it's making Donald J. Trump's head explode. Yes, the National Firefighters Union gave Joe Biden their endorsement, and Donnie's upset. What is he going to say to his Trumpists? What is he going to say? Wait for it. Yes, ask Ivanka, and she says, Daddy, you're the bestest president in the history of humanity. You're the 2 scoops of ice cream president, Daddy. Daddy, we should do some alterations to Mount Rushmore. Just a few, maybe something like that. Yes, Daddy, you're the bestest. In fact, why do we need Mount Rushmore at all anymore? Why can't we just have Mount Trump? Yeek! That's what Ivanka thinks, but what do the rest of us think? What about Mount Rushmore anywhere? What about that monument? Does any other country on this planet, can they boast about having their own Mount Rushmore? What is it about that strange monument that has this monument to 4 presidents listed not in chronological order? Did the sculptor get it wrong? Gutenberglum, right? Yes, first American to ever have a sculpture accepted into the Met. And we are proud of him for what he did in Mount Rushmore. We kind of overlooked the fact that he was a member of the KKK. Yes, he was involved in the Stone Mountain Project, and that's where he developed many of the techniques that allowed him to do, even though he walked off the set in an artistic huff, it allowed him to do Mount Rushmore later. Right, so what was his vision for that monument? What was it? He had 4 presidents up there, and he had this thought that one could be celebrated for the birth of a nation, and that's George Washington, obviously. And then one could be for the growth of the president, and that's Jefferson. One could be for the development of the country, and that's T-Rex, as we like to call him at home. Because look at all that teeth. Yes, Teddy Roosevelt. Yes, and then, of course, arguably the greatest president of all, he stands for preservation of the Republic, Abraham Lincoln. So let's just unpack that just a little bit. There's George Washington, because at the time, the founding of the country, this country was truly fractured. 1/3 for the king, 1/3 against, and 1/3 saying, I don't know, right? But he shepherded us all through that, brought the ship of state safe through the storm into a safe harbor. Yes, George Washington, so we call him the father of this country. And then, of course, we have Thomas Jefferson, not so much for, a symbol of growth or the growth of the country, according to the sculptor, right? Not so much for the Declaration of Independence, so much as, he did precisely what he said he would not do. When he was running for president, he said we should have a small government, a small president, not the king. And then at a stroke, when Napoleon Bonaparte decided he was running out of cash for his war to conquer Europe, he decided to sell Thomas Jefferson the Louisiana Purchase at 3 cents an acre. Oh my God, he just couldn't help himself. He just signed it away and doubled the size of the United States. A president who campaigns and then does precisely the opposite. Does that sound familiar to you? Yes. Then we have T-Rex, Teddy Roosevelt, his efforts at conservation, right? At what he did, which was extraordinary. And instead of, like Donald J. Trump, he wants everything to be his own private oyster, right? Where he and he alone can go out there. But Teddy Roosevelt had the opposite idea. We have all these beautiful lands, these naturally beautiful lands in the United States. Let's set them aside for the common good. And he did. He had, 5 national parks? 150 national forests he founded? And 18 national monuments, including the Grand Canyon, right? And the wildlife preserves, like 55 of them game and bird wildlife preserves. All for humans to enjoy, all for Americans to enjoy. You don't have to have billions to go to the park. So yes, preserving the country. And then finally we have Abraham Lincoln, right? Arguably the greatest of all presidents, who at a time when this country was fractured as has never been before, when 1/3 wanted to keep the blacks in chains, 1/3 wanted to set them free, and 1/3, just didn't give a damn, right? But he kept us together through that horrific carnage. He brought us all together again and paid with his life for it. Right? So how does Donnie J Trump stack up against that? What is he going to say to his Trumpists? Because, he has to give them a reason to crawl out from underneath their rocks and get off their bar stools and get down to the polls in 2020 and vote for him. And I think this firefighters union endorsement has really freaked him out. He's a little bit scared this morning. And just this big tweet storm, about Joe Biden is growing obsessed. Who knew? What's it going to say? Well, I suppose he could talk about single-handedly killing off the soybean industry, for all those farmers in Iowa, making sure that market's never coming back and putting them on welfare instead. Nah. Oh, he could brag about killing off all those jobs in the auto industry, right? Costing, first it was Harley Davidson, killing off those jobs, and then he just cost Ford $1 billion and GM $1 billion with those silly aluminum and steel tariffs of his. Yeah, that's going to work out well. I can't hardly wait to see how that's going to play out. Yes. Or he could talk about driving this thriving economy straight into recession again because of his trade war that he really doesn't understand. He can brag about all that, or he can brag about giving the uber wealthy that $1.5 trillion tax cut on the backs of his Trumpists, raising their taxes 15% this year to pay for more billions for the billionaires. Whew, yeah, that'll get him off their bar stool. No, what is he truly good at? Ivanka's dreams aside about Daddy being the bestest and putting Daddy on Mount Rushmore, renaming Mount Rushmore into Mount Trump. No. What is Donald Trump truly good at? Well, it turns out that even before he was elected, we knew, because that classic USA Today story that chronicled how he had been sued in 3,500 lawsuits over the last 3 decades of his life. So if you do the math, 5 business days a week when courts is actually in session, that means every second business day he was suing or being sued. Every second business day for the last 3 decades. So I think he's really quite good at that lawsuit stuff. And look at his presidency. What do we have? Well, we have 25 investigations, and that's just so far, right? Resulting in, 34 indictments? 8 guys pleading guilty for breaking the law for him so that he doesn't have to get his hands dirty. 5 more being referred to other courts, other U.S. attorney courts. And what else? Oh, yes, we have all these subpoenas breaking in the news. The Democrats are finally finding their mojo at last. Probably a little too late, but that's okay. Late is better than never, right? 85 plus and counting. And here we go. And he's going to fight them all. Yes. And it's triggering even more. We've already had literally hundreds of lawsuits against the Trump administration. And we're going to see hundreds more. So yes, he's taken Donald J. Trump, who wants to be unprecedented. He tells us that all the time. Well, he is unprecedented now because he's taken the most powerful, the most creative, the most efficient government in the history of humanity, and he's reduced it to 2 functions. 1, making sure his name is in the news every night on TV. The other, creating lawsuits. Yes. So yes, forget about killing off the soybeans. Forget about killing off the car jobs. Forget about trashing the economy. He doesn't have to. I think that will work. I think that will get his Trumpists off their bar stools and get them to crawl out from underneath their rocks. Yes, I'd vote for the king of lawsuits. Wouldn't you? Thanks for watching my video. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel. Just click on that red box below. I want to keep you laughing.